All right, so we are going to be looking at the funniest interview to ever take place in all of time to have ever existed, ever in the history of ever. This is the Battle of the Minds, is what it is known as. This is David Pakman versus the Noam Chomsky of the right, Jesse Lee Peterson. Now, I can't say that with a straight face, but I don't want to because this is funny. But anyway, we previously looked at a clip of where they talked about socialism, and it was really hilarious because it was just such a ridiculous back and forth. Now, obviously, David Pakman's not ridiculous. Jesse Lee Peterson's the ridiculous one. If that's obvious, right? It's implied, but it was just so funny. Honestly, props to David Pakman for I don't even know how he was able to stay so collected, because even if like you stay calm, like the amount of ridiculous stuff that he says, like I don't understand how that doesn't throw you off. So big props to David Pagman on that. I don't know how he was able to sort of keep his composure and just keep. It was almost like Jesse was baiting him the whole time, but he never fell for the bait. Instead, just kind of knew he was a troll and just kind of like ran with it almost. That's sort of the way it was. And I don't know if that's a perfect description, but that's as close as I think I'm going to get to being 100% accurate. But they spoke about a few different topics. The Children of the Lie is my new favorite meme. Jesse Lee Peterson is just a walking basket of memes, and I absolutely love it. Obviously, Jesse Lee Peterson's a really bad person, but the memes that come out of Jesse Lee Peterson are absolutely hilarious. You've got Children of the Lie, and you've got The Great White Hope. Now, there may be a few others that I'm forgetting right now, but those are the two main ones, so it's okay. I can feel okay with that. The main two memes being the Children of the Lie and the Great White Hope. Now, the Children of the Lie is a phrase that Jesse Lee Peterson is clearly very, very fond of using, and he uses it quite in frequency, and we're going to be seeing that here. Now, of course, the Brett Kavanaugh hearings were insanely polarizing for obvious reasons, and the outcome of it was pretty horrible. He's now sitting on the Supreme Court, which is honestly a really crappy thing to think about. But they are going to speak about Brett Kavanaugh. I'm sure you know how it's going to go, but holy guacamole, is it hilarious. Check it out.
I ask you about Judge Kavanaugh.
Okay.
When the children of the lie tried to take his life.
I'm not familiar with them.
The children of the lie, the liberal media, the Democratic Party, the right-o Republicans, the never-Trumpers.
Okay. So like everybody but Trumpers.
The hashtag movement, those evil women hashtag movement
Hashtag
people, civil rights leaders, all those folks, they are children of the lie.
It's a lot of people.
It is. They have a big family. But when they tried to destroy him, that woman, whatever her name is, it won't come to me.
Doesn't matter to you anyway, right? I mean.
Yeah. When she lied on him, and you saw that the children of the lie tried to destroy this man, his wife, and his children by accusing him of being. Were you disappointed to see the children of the lie acting that way?
So this is one of those questions where the framing of the question we have to talk about, because you're assuming that I already believe she lied, but I don't know that she lied. I don't have any evidence that she lied.
Did you pay attention to the hearing?
I watched every minute.
Did you hear anything that indicated she was telling the truth?
Yes. There was no. So here's a couple things. I'll tell you what to me suggested she was telling the truth. Number one, it was all downside for her coming forward. There was no upside. She's not going to get any money now because she made the allegation. She's not going to live a better life. She had to move. So first of all, it's sort of like motive. There was no upside to her. There was the chance that maybe it would prevent Kavanaugh from being confirmed. But most people, including me all along, were saying this isn't going to stop his confirmation. So that was one thing that made me not doubt her, that there was really nothing to gain. The second thing is, during the hearing, which was like, what, 10 hours long? It was very, very long, like 5 hours each of them. Yeah. There were like dozens of questions that Brett Kavanaugh didn't answer. And she answered every question. And when I see that, and I see one person answering every single question, and the other person not answering so many questions, based on my experience talking to people who sometimes lie and sometimes tell the truth, I believe that it's more likely the person not answering the questions is the person lying.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So she was asked when, where, and how I don't know where it happened. I don't know when it happened. I don't
No,
know
she did
who
say
was
where it
there.
happened. It had
I
been
don't
at
know
someone's
this.
house.
I don't know that. Only thing I remember is a beer, and then she developed this a little girl voice. It's supposed to be a professor, and she developed this little. What's the woman's name? Christine Blayton Ford, right?
So let me see if I understand.
She developed this false little girl tone.
Her voice made you not trust her.
No, her line made me. She had no proof.
But then why are you mentioning her voice?
She doesn't remember when, where, or how. The only thing she remembers is a beer.
That's not
and
true.
So
she remembered a lot of stuff.
You would have to want to believe her, not to see that she was lying. And plus, she seemed mentally off. You know, like the lights was on, but nobody was home.
You're making assessments of who's mentally off on TV.
She seemed mentally off.
And that's your assessment?
Yeah, because she's like, she's like kind of weird.
She was weird.
Yeah, it's like they went to the gates of hell over in Israel.
Kavanaugh seemed normal to you.
Over in Israel, there is a little old city now where the gates of hell is there. And it's a dark pit that if you go down in there, you can't return, they say. And so whenever I see women like that and men like that, it reminds me.
Men and women like what?
Like Ford, just wicked, lying. This woman was willing to destroy this man because she didn't agree with his politics. She was being used, I believe, because she's kind of out there. I think that.
I'm pretty sure she was a Republican. I don't know what politics you disagree with.
No.
Can I ask you a question? I want to understand.
But
what could she have done during the hearing where you would have said, you know what, I do believe her? Like, what could she have? I know you don't believe her, right? Like the way it went down, you don't believe her.
Right.
What could she have done during the hearings where you would have said, I believe her?
If she had she gone there and say, you know what, the children of the lie are trying to use me to destroy Judge Kavanaugh.
But that would be a lie.
And I see no reason this man should be destroyed. And so I just want you to know not to trust the children of the lie.
So only if she recanted, you would have believed her.
I would have believed that.
Wow.
Or has she brought real evidence? But she brought none, zero. Wow. But that's how evil the children of the left are. They'll destroy you to get what they want, and that's power and wealth.
I'm curious, if they're so powerful, the children of the lie.
But they're not powerful.
Oh, I thought you just said they
that's what they want.
I thought you said they will destroy you.
They will. They'll destroy you. They'll try to destroy you to get power and wealth. Do you agree with that?
No.
Really? Do you trust would you want someone to falsely to accuse you, and now you and the world has to believe the accuser and not believe you? Or would you rather be
It's funny you mention that.
Innocent until proven guilty?
So there's two different things, right? In our justice system, in our legal system, we have innocence until guilt has been proven. Right. There's no question about that. What happened with Dr. Christine Blasey Ford was not part of the justice system, right? This was people like you and me and 100 senators and the public making an assessment of the believability of two different people, right? So nobody, I would say to you, innocence until guilt has been proven is logical if you're looking at putting someone in prison. But this wasn't a criminal trial. You acknowledge that, right?
That's so ridiculous. I don't know what to say about it.
It's just true.
It's interesting how when the children of the lie.
No, but saying it's ridiculous isn't an argument.
It's ridiculous.
It's not an argument.
This man was accused. I don't care if it was an innocent man walking down the road. You don't just accuse people. And whatever reason you're going to make up for it doesn't make sense. This woman, she accused this man with no proof. And the children of the lie tried to destroy him with no proof.
Okay.
Would you want to be falsely accused? For any reason at all, whether it's for a job.
Of course not.
Right. You want, and then if someone should accuse you, when you want the hearer to assume you're innocent.
I would want the legal system to assume that.
So you wouldn't mind if it's someone not the legal system.
People have tried to prove a point. I'm sure you're going to denounce this because of your strong position against false allegations. Because of my position that Christine Blasey Ford seemed credible to me, people actually started contacting local media claiming because they said, David, we're going to show you how easy it is to get people in trouble with false rape allegations.
Especially for men.
And they started doing it. And you know what? The allegations were so obviously not credible that they didn't go anywhere. Because obviously false allegations don't go anywhere.
Well, that's because right now you're not of value to them. You can't hurt them. So it meant nothing. But
it meant nothing
put yourself in a position such as Judge Kavanaugh, or let's say that you get some influence where you can influence people in a way that would change for you.
All right.
You know, I asked you, date girls, and you say, well, why would you assume I date girls?
It's interesting that you assumed that. Yeah.
Should I assume you date boys?
No.
Oh, because it's normal to assume you date girls until otherwise.
Statistically speaking, you're right.
So,
most people are heterosexual. Yeah.
So was I wrong for assuming you date girls?
I'm not at all offended, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just found it interesting.
But it's interesting that a straight man would make that.
No,
would bring that up.
The reason was you've called me a girly man so many times. Remember we talked about that?
Weak.
Oh, okay.
That's because it's not because I think you.
That I'm gay.
Right.
Got it. Glad we clarified.
Oh.
All right, so as you can tell, this is essentially a comedy sketch that is not actually a comedy sketch. It's an inadvertent one, essentially. But Jesse Lee Peterson, as I, re-saw that clip, I remembered the third meme that comes out of Jesse Lee Peterson, and he, for some reason, uses the term amazing, but there's no G. It's not like amazing, and it's the way he says, he goes, amazing. Like, it's a cool way to say it. I'm not gonna lie. He's got like a nice amazing going there, but it's a word that he uses just randomly for like filler purposes, it seems. But man, is it hilarious! So that's the third meme in the starter kit in the starter pack for Jesse Lee Peterson. But anyways, so they start out on a really funny note. They start out with the first meme, the Children of the Lie. In my opinion, the best meme. And I thought David did like a nice counter troll there where, Jesse Peterson starts to like blame this boogeyman of the Children of the Lie, and then David goes, oh, well, I'm not familiar with them. That was a pretty smart move on David's part, because it's like, this guy is a troll and he is actively trying to troll you. Now, I'm not saying that in terms of he doesn't believe what he's saying, because I definitely know he believes what he's saying, but there is some sort of a factor of trolling going on, because it's like, okay, but you know what I mean. And so he sort of counters with another troll. You know what I mean? It's like a troll on troll action, which sounds weird. Anyways, so he starts out by essentially counter trolling him. And here's something interesting too: is he says the hashtag movement. I'm like, what? Don't you mean like the Me Too movement? I know that's what he's referring to, but like, what is the hashtag movement? Like, what the heck? What is that, fam? I don't know what that is. That kind of threw me off. And then he hits David with the amazing, with the nice little amazing in there. And probably the funniest part in all of this was where he literally, Jesse Lee Peterson, okay, this guy, according to his assessment, this is Jesse Lee Peterson's assessment of Christine Blasey Ford. His assessment of her was that she's mentally off. Dude, Vegeta's fucking hypocrisy level, his scouter, it says over 9,000 right now. Are you kidding me? Now, I'm pretty convinced at this point that Jesse Lee Peterson he's off in some way, and I think it's tough to sort of make fun of him for that reason in certain ways. But I do think that there's something going on there, because it's impossible to say the kinds of things that he says in the manner that he says them, without any evidence, without any logic, and just sort of a vapid brain, a vapid mind, if you will. But the irony, the hypocrisy, I think it's more of an irony than a hypocrisy. Actually, I should say that the irony level is over 9,000. Let me correct that. Because you're talking about, Christine Blasey Ford was a professor who has her career on the line, and I thought she did really good at the hearing. She completely carried herself. She was totally, legitimate. She carried herself legitimately. She did nothing but really prove that she's a legitimate person with credible statements. And it's, something that David Pakman explains is that, she answered all the questions. Brett Kavanaugh not only didn't answer a ton of questions, A, he lied in a bunch of them, and B, he was totally inappropriate in multiple of them. Multiple. You're talking about obviously different things that we've gone over before, but it's insane, obviously. Then David, I thought I feel like David made a smart move where he presented Jesse Lee Peterson with a question of, okay, well, what could she have actually said for you to have actually believed her? Now, this was an interesting thing that I thought was a good thing that he said, because this was a legitimate criticism of them trying to rush the hearing. Is like, okay, you're not attempting to really gather any facts on the matter. You've already made up your mind, and you want to speed through this hearing immediately so that you can just push out your opinion without having any facts. And that's why they didn't do the investigation until later on. And I thought he presented that in a good way, where he essentially cornered Jesse Lee Peterson. And Jesse Lee Peterson, basically, he debunks himself, or he exposes himself, I should say, because he responds to that with a statement that completely proves David's point, in that, okay, well, there's nothing she could have said for you to believe her, so what's the point? You already had your mind made up. It's not like you were a legitimate arbiter or a legitimate observer who made up your opinion, analyzing what she stated in the hearing and what happened in the hearing, and you legitimately, honestly, genuinely, sincerely came to the conclusion, based on the evidence presented, that, okay, Kavanaugh is innocent, which anybody with a functioning brain with 2 brain cells can tell that that was not the case in even the slightest, because we've gone over all of the different layers of how dumb he is. And then we get the innocent until proven guilty talking point, which is what it has become at this point, because that is something that is assumed within the legal system, and that is not something that is presumed in a non-legal trial. And it doesn't make any sense either, the whole innocent until proven guilty in this specific case, because who determines whether or not they're guilty if it's not us? There's no judge. There's no one to actually decide. There's no jury. Who's going to decide that? The senators? Is that who's going to decide it? Because the senators aren't any better than the people are. But, dude, that's not a legal proceeding. That's a voluntary hearing. They're not even subpoenaed. They're literally voluntarily doing a hearing, and it's up for the people to judge whether or not, who is essentially more credible, whose story do you actually believe. And again, anyone with a functioning brain will tell you that, yes, Christine Blasey Ford was far more credible because she carried herself far better in the actual hearing, and B, because Brett Kavanaugh didn't answer all the questions, and on top of that, he was totally inappropriate many times that he actually did. And, David sort of David says that, and then Jesse Peterson, he says that's so ridiculous, and essentially says, I don't even know how to respond with that. And it's obvious reasons, because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Jesse Peterson's, of course, a moron. And then David brought something interesting up, and Jesse Peterson sort of says, oh, it is what it is. The children of the lie don't want you. And I was kind of like, huh? Like, what? What does that mean, fam? Like, what are you saying? What are you saying, G? And then to end it off, there was the most hilarious part. I don't know. You guys can let me know what you guys thought was the most hilarious part. But he said that basically David said that, he was under the presumption, I think, that Jesse Lee Peterson thought he was gay, because he called him a girly man like multiple times. And Jesse Lee Peterson clarified that, oh no, that's not the reason why. It's because, you're just a weak guy. And there was actually also a part in the beginning of the conversation that they had where Jesse Lee Peterson says that he's a beta male, I think. I don't know if he said he was a beta male or if liberals were, but David asked him how he could become an alpha. And I think he asked him, like, if I became a conservative tomorrow, would I become an alpha? And he says yes. So this is just the gift that keeps on giving. We got a lot more things to talk about, because this interview is the most hilarious thing to ever exist on planet Earth.